Okay, we should be live. All right, let's go ahead and get started. Internal user feedback meeting today. We're going to go through some of our agenda items and get ready for way extra detail. We're going to get ready for the Node.js Collaborator Summit Europe edition next week, and then we have a public users feedback session in Austria. Benedict from Google, the V8 team lead, is the team works out of Germany, but the event that he's hosting is in Austria. I had in my mind that it was I assumed Germany, but it's actually in Austria. So I'll be there. Tierney will be there, right? You're coming too?
No, I'm not able to make it actually.
Oh, okay. Okay, sorry. I'll be there. Mihai will be in Europe, but it'd be great to capture some of that perspective of folks using Node.js and wrapping their heads around Node.js from a European perspective. I've always found that there are different levels of adoption and understanding and appreciation of the platform. So I think it's a wonderful opportunity for us to do some outreach and gain more understanding around our European community and what the needs are. So I'm going to pull up our agenda for today and get into that. So European general user feedback on WorkerConf. I don't really have much else to add there. The only reminder or maybe handoff request, maybe to Tierney. We kicked off a request to go and document some things, and I think that was in Tierney's hands.
Yes, I believe it was.
Right? Do you need to hand that off to someone else?
Probably, yeah, that'd probably be a good
Right?
thing, just because this next week or two is going to be insane for me on top of things that have already been happening that I haven't expected.
Right on.
Yeah.
Cool. So
I was also wondering, have you lined up people to attend, or is it just free form of who shows up? I'm just curious, what's the sort of organization?
So the event is unconference style. So my expectation is that I will be able to unconference and cat herd there.
Okay.
I'll also have Tracy Lee from the Node.js Foundation, who's running community there to run interference. So there's a great opportunity to do some outreach and tweet out and drive some awareness there. But I really don't think that anybody who's not already planning on attending the event would be able to or benefit from going there. Right?
No, I was just more like in some of the other ones you'd arrange some people to be on the panel or whatever.
Right.
I'm curious if you'd already lined people up, but if I can see it equally working. Basically there's a session, people show up, and it's a good time to just say, hey, you're here. What are you concerned about? What should we be talking about? Figuring out if they fit into the three categories we already have going, or if we are missing something. So yeah.
Right. Yeah. I mean, in terms of my sort of mental game plan, this is not documented, but just to share my thoughts. Heading to Berlin for the Collaboration Summit, and then we'll be around for JSConf EU. So I'm going to have at the beginning of the month, some opportunity to have conversations with folks in the local community to sort of form some questions there. We could tag our next session, which would be the 8th of June, as some brainstorming and feedback. So I while we're in Berlin for summit, invite folks to post questions, just engage our end users up front for that. I think that'd be productive.
Yeah, no, I think that yeah, and I guess there'll be a bunch of us there at JSConf EU. So I guess the message is post, if you hear people asking about particular things,
go to that thread,
post them into that issue, add them in, and yeah. That your suggestion of next meeting sounds good, except I'm also wondering about when we're going to make the next sort of user feedback session for whoever was. We did the general one last, and somebody was asking me about the other ones.
Right, and I wanted to make sure that I gave you time not just for this tooling queued up, and then you've been iterating with folks on the embedding.
I think that one's going on its own, and I think that's okay. Like, I don't think we need to pull that into the regular schedule. In that, I think it can kind of just run on its own schedule. Yihong's helping to push that, and
so is that happening asynchronously? What's the story?
Yeah, cool. So there was the initial meeting happened a week ago. We ended up getting like 15 people who joined the call.
Nice.
Quite good. Yeah, I was happy with the attendance. I was traveling last week, so I haven't had really time to regroup with Yihong, but there seems to be consensus we should start working on the use cases. So I think we'll push a little bit on that, like through GitHub, and then, set up another meeting maybe in a couple of weeks. It would be my expectation.
Great.
And I think that can really happen asynchronously. Like, I don't think we need support specifically from the user feedback team. Obviously everybody's welcome. But I think, Yihong can sort of help setting up those meetings and keeping them going and stuff like that.
Fantastic. I'd love, just in terms of cadence and in terms of feedback loop, it'd be nice if Yihong or yourself could, carry back into these general meetings, some of the context of our learnings, just so the rest of the team members around user feedback are sort of engaged in the context of what we're all accomplishing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I'm happy to do a regular update on that. So basically we had the initial discussion. We had people from Electron, I believe people from the NWG, which is, I think, the sort of equivalent. We had people from, actually, I'd have to go back and go through the whole list, but it was sort of the broad range of people using it in different ways for embedding. We had a little bit of discussion, a little bit of a challenge, not sort of going down the rabbit hole of trying to solve some of the problems.
Right.
I think
each group, I'm sure, has this one thing that needs to get done right on.
Exactly. So for example, the IIB team from IBM was there, who have actually been embedding it for a number of years. And they had challenges when the last upgrade because of things that were changed and stuff like that. But but I think the agreement was we should, if we could document the use cases and drive the requirements, then we could drive the testing that we want to get in place based on that, and any APIs that we need to put into Node. Hopefully, driving those. My goal is to push them through an API if it makes sense.
Great.
And I'd say that's about the top level thing I can report without thinking about it a bit more. But yeah, we should almost make a list if we have more and more of these of things we can sort of do an update on each time.
Right. Yeah, we're getting meta with our initiatives, Tierney. There's initiative inside of an initiative, and I'm enjoying it. I'm here for this.
Man, I wish I could be there too.
Yeah. It's almost like it makes me wonder if, so for example, the tooling one, we have Chris. Can we delegate to him, sort of setting up the meetings and moving them forward?
Rather than having him sit on our cadence. Yes.
Right.
I've
because
tried to, but yes, I like that a lot.
Okay.
Right. But I don't know that we've ever, told him explicitly, like, don't wait for us, just go.
Yeah. No, that's what I'm saying. Like we could,
Yeah.
I know we've sort of said, hey, you're free to do whatever, but we could have the specific thing of saying like, hey, instead of us scheduling into the cycle, if it makes sense, you know, feel free to just set up your own schedule. Yeah. I'm happy to take the action to talk to him on that, if that makes sense.
That'd be fantastic. And I do think that we need to make sure to let him know that, you know, he can reach out to any of us if he has questions or needs help, or like needs help with stream or whatever. Like we can be there and help him with that.
Sure. I mean, I'd still plan to attend them because I want to be there, but it's the, if we can enable them by not having, you know, we have our slot, but you know, that means it's only going to be every 6 weeks or 8 weeks at most. Right. So, and it, go ahead.
I was just going to add, you know, very selfishly, this slot is really tuned to my needs.
It works for me too. So
right on. But you know, I'm you know, protective of this slot in my weekly time to make sure that I have that. And you know, doesn't mean that that's necessarily the best time for you know, for the tooling folks, and you know, be great to see that you know, gain more momentum. It seemed like there's a lot of interest there, and you know, we aren't going to get in our bi-monthly cadence the momentum that they need. That's great.
Yeah, so I'll talk to Chris on that front, and you know, make it clear we'll still, I mean, maybe not everybody, but a few of us at least will try and attend every meeting and provide support, and you know, so it shouldn't change things. But if he's got the cycles to kind of sort of drive the organization part, that would be, and it would be good to detach that from the.
Yep.
Okay.
What I have seen, so to be on the ground, we are talking about issue 59 over here about tooling, right? So what I have seen, so only when Tierney was saying, okay, I'm going to help over here, it was a much noise over there. Other than this, I didn't see too much on Christopher issues on 59. So after Tierney was saying, okay, I'm going to talk with some of the people, it was becoming like an explosion. So I don't know if they are ready for a cadence, speaking for right now.
Well, I'm not suggesting that we don't be involved in the exact same way. It's just a matter of
adding in another meeting, basically.
You know, as opposed
and giving them permission to do that whenever they need to.
Right, as opposed to one of us managing and making sure that it actually happens. You know, seeing if we can, if Chris has cycles to do that, right?
I have to operate on a cadence just to fit it into my schedule.
Sure.
But you know, that's just a constraint for you know, how I can plug in and be helpful. But that doesn't mean that, you know, this group needs to necessarily you know, be put on a cadence. Like you know, cadence is a total me thing that, you know, I impose to myself.
Okay.
So we sort of got onto this talking about when the tooling one is queued up. Is it queued up for a date?
I don't know if it is.
I don't believe it got to a consensus on date.
Okay.
No, there is no date.
Because I mean, I was thinking like that's why we were just talking about next week, or the June 8th strategizing. But should we be scheduling in one of the, like the tooling one, or is it the enterprise one that is next in the cycle?
So I think the tooling would be good to plug in and, you know, keep that momentum, get the broad feedback.
Okay.
Right.
Yep.
So maybe we should target June 8th as the, you know, the next one for that one, and then going forward, we can then, you know, see if we can set up and detach from the cadence. But okay,
great.
And I guess on the enterprise,
and we can convey that message while we're there. You know, you know, here, you know, please, you know, feel free to go forth, and we will support you.
Okay, so that makes sense. On the enterprise side, I almost wondered after the last one, like, do we need to do something to sort of reinvigorate that, or because we only had the one attendee, right?
Right. That is totally on me and is a factor of my available cycles to go and cat herd.
Okay.
Totally, full transparency. That's my issue in making sure that I can go and sort of corral everybody in to do that. And I was able to get someone who's reliable and can plug in
Sure.
that way.
Yeah.
The other group of folks that are participants in there are a little bit harder to cat herd.
Right. Okay. So I guess it's like we'll leave it to you to see what you can do on the cat herding front, and then propose whenever the next session should be. Right.
Right.
Okay.
I'm comfortable with that. Or if someone else wants to take a pass at that, please. I don't want to be the blocker, but I am the blocker.
Do we have a list somewhere
of those folks? They are in the repo.
Okay, right. There's a specific repo.
Right. There's the sort of side repo that
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Right. Pulling those folks up and making sure that everyone is plugged in. Now, I don't recall if so. There was most of the communication by email and then the repo. Just pull that up.
Right. So maybe there's okay. So the list is in that discovery, but that doesn't necessarily even have people's contact
information, right?
So, Michael, one thing that I think, if we're talking about the enterprise advisor group, I know you and I both have emails somewhere from like 7 months ago that have all of their contact information because you and I were talking on them.
Yes. Yeah. So okay.
Yeah. You could dig that up at least.
Okay.
Right.
I was just, curious what would, if I wanted to do something, who would it be? Yes. And okay. So yeah, you're right. I probably do have that deep in my bowels of 100,000 emails.
Right.
Exactly. Okay. Because I think we owe some sort of closure on that front, and I think it would be good to. Not next week, since we're all at the summit, but after that, if I have some thought time, I may try and revive that.
Yeah, my expectation is it's closure, and we're inviting folks to again process and tune in. Lots of great user feedback happening.
Yep,
and we just need to share with folks the context of what we're doing here.
Yeah, in that list, was there anybody particularly excited?
Ahmed was one of the more excited ones, right?
Right. Yeah. Okay. So I mean, I just keep thinking of the, if we end up driving every one of these, we're going to be the limiting factor, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
So the two individuals who in that group, I think could be our potential sort of champions on the initiative. There's Ahmed Nasri and Trevor Livingston of Homoe, and those are the two individuals that I was teeing up to have that go and run.
Right.
But yeah, I think that's the right end game is as we're picking that back up, we're also looking to identify the champion for that going forward.
Right.
So that is not us, right?
Because I'm sure they can help in pulling the people together, and then we need to be there to be the bridge to the project and try and pull in other people, but we don't necessarily have to drive the sessions themselves, hopefully once we get critical mass. So I think you're right. Ahmed probably is quite enthusiastic. So
that's great. Right, and Alkin wanted to do the tooling, right, and
Yep.
he could use that as it'd be fantastic if he could take that initiative of all right, enterprise users, it's release time. You're taking and running our test suite in your CI/CD.
Right. Yep.
Mm-hmm. That's a great action. Okay.
That's right. Because that was one of the specific ones we talked about. Was like, hey, yes, pick up. Yeah. So okay. So once this next week is over, think a little bit more about that. And I think I don't know if I can reach out to Matt, or do you want to do that together, or in terms of like I would even go back to him and see if he's interested in trying to organize the next meeting. Like getting reaching out to everybody and saying, hey, let's get together. It's been a little while. We can give him the list of contacts and see if he's interested in driving that. Does that make sense in your mind?
It totally makes sense. It totally makes sense. The gears, grinding in my head is like, should I volunteer for this or should I push? I'm happy to take that and get feedback there.
Okay.
What I might ask is if I go through and sort of do the first line of, hey, does this make sense? Could I engage you in the follow-up of, all right, this makes sense, and we're going to support Ahmed in getting everybody, doing the cat herd.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. So you can even CC me on the initial email to him if you want, and so I'm in the loop.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Let me approach it that way. That way, it won't get lost in me needing to go and grind through the cat herd. But I can sort of tee it up for him and make sure we're enabling him to something that he wants to do, not pressuring him into something that yet another thing to do.
It should be first like, are you excited about doing this?
Right.
Then great, and we'll and it's not you're on your own. It's you're excited, so hey, charge forward, and we'll be there right there with whatever you need. So.
I think that's one of the most important things is when people are excited, keep continuing to keep them engaged in enabling them rather than putting up barriers to bureaucratic barriers to slow them down.
Yeah, it's like let them move forward and pull us along.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Fantastic. Okay, so I updated on the thread with 59 on the tooling session for our next meeting. Tooling ecosystem folks, that's great.
Yeah, and I think there'll be plenty to talk about.
Oh, we have our contact here, Stephen. Is stuck.
Is it on the YouTube?
He is, or they are in. Can I join from my browser? 18 minutes ago. Shoot.
I don't believe you can join from a browser. Oh,
There is I was just looking it up because I actually think there's a web client now. But I don't see anybody in the attendee list like who's waiting or something like that.
Yeah, I don't know if he's able to join.
If you're on 64. Sorry.
I was just saying I was directly DMing with him at the beginning of this meeting, but something totally unrelated.
Oh,
so,
well,
yeah, I feel kind of bad. I need the join link. Can you not install Zoom? Oh yeah. Yeah, I see what he's saying.
Yeah, okay. Generally, you do need to install
Right.
something. Although I thought there was a browser. Maybe that was
Right, I thought
WebEx.
there was too. There's definitely some browser plugins that enable you to plug Zoom here and there.
Well, it's good if Tierney, you have them online.
I was muted. Yeah, I don't know if he's able to join.
Okay.
Unfortunately,
Is it that he can't connect or?
it looks like he didn't want to install the app.
Okay.
I haven't got a response from him.
Got it.
Ah,
So we'll give it another minute or so.
Sure.
But I'd love to have Stephen come and join us if you can. Do we have dial-in capabilities with the webinar?
Maybe. I think so, but I think you still have to download and join and join on your phone. Like you have to join on your computer, then join on your phone.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think there was some phone numbers somewhere, but
Right.
Yeah, you may have to. It says once you've joined, you can join the audio by computer, dial in by telephone, or choose to call me.
I know with meetings, it's pretty easy to get a dial-in link.
I suspect for webinars, it must be the same.
I'd be surprised it wasn't, right?
Yeah, exactly. If you can do it for one, I think they're basically the same thing, just managed slightly differently.
All right, then. Well, why don't we... why don't we go ahead and call it?
Yeah. So Tierney, if you've already been corresponding with him, maybe you could try and see if you can connect with him and get a sense of where he was looking to participate.
Yep, for sure.
Because the question that my suggestion to join this was like, this is a good place to figure out if he wants to come to these regular meetings or one of the user feedback sessions is where his interest was.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. Yeah, I can talk to him about that.
And then whichever, probably need to help figure out how he's going to connect, but
yeah, I can help them guide them through that if possible.
Great.
So
awesome.
I'm going to need to go ahead and create the meeting probably now, right? To get the 8th set up. And make sure that I get it done in time. I'm gonna go ahead and create that. Is the script going to automatically see that, or are we just gonna find it and move it?
So, what I'd suggest if you go to the calendar,
okay,
the calendar. Well, I guess there's two things. One, if we update the calendar so that it has a name that doesn't match the tool, then it won't actually generate a meeting. If if you want to create the issue and the meeting now,
okay,
you can do that and name it such that it's not our regular meeting. So
right, yep.
And then having deleted, if we delete our regular meeting at the same time, then it won't create the issue for that one. So
okay.
Now, if you wanted to create the issue in advance, then that's something different.
Right. I think it that request that I think I've at least attempted to find an answer for. What does it look like to use the tool and basically because of using the tool have the standard formatting, right?
Yeah.
All just plugged in, but be able to run that whenever.
Right. But I think it's like for the user feedback meeting with the the tooling team, we don't actually need the standard format.
True. That's right.
Necessarily,
Right.
like
Right.
we don't
Good
need it
point.
to generate the issues and stuff
Right.
like that, because that doesn't make sense. So you might be better off just cutting and pasting. The part you do get value out of is perhaps like the times.
Totally.
But
Right.
that you can actually generate with make node meeting. So there's like, that's what underlying the covers the automated tool uses. So anyway, I guess what I'd suggest is for what we have now, I think it may be best to just manually create that issue.
Makes sense. Cool.
And then by manipulating the calendar so that it doesn't say Node.js end user feedback meeting for the 8th, delete the entry that's there, add in a new entry that basically says, tooling feedback meeting. The tool will just not do anything for that date.
Okay. Perfect.
Okay.
Great. All right. Well, thanks everybody for joining us today. It's great to see you, and we'll see everybody for the tooling session on the 8th.
Thanks. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye. Bye.